there's a lot of letting go of attachments to illusions in this reading. There's a lot of seeing things for what they really are and noticing some underlying currents that might be unexpected in things that seem very straightforward. So, again, this reading is not for you, it's not for me, it's not for anyone in particular. I'm just showing you how a reading goes almost in a vacuum. No reading is ever truly in a vacuum, but I personally believe that tarot is at its best when it's in person with physical cards and physical presence. But I'm doing these videos because I want to show you how the reading of gifts works, how different cards are able to relate to each other in the setup of the receiving side and the giving side, and a fourth card to put it all into a larger context. And if you'd like to learn more about tarot, I have an online school called the Arcana Conservatory. It's a growing community of tarot enthusiasts from all over the world. We're doing writing challenges, we're doing real world quests that are designed to get you to understand the card at a personal level. It's not about memorizing lists of keywords or me telling you what the cards mean. It's more about me taking what I know about tarot and what it means to develop an understanding of all 78 cards and giving prompts and challenges to try and draw your own set of understandings that gets that same kind of high resolution picture that a tarot deck is capable of forming. So check out the profile link or the description link to check out the Arcana Conservatory on school. So thanks for watching and enjoy the reading. So we start, as always, with the first card, which represents the focal point. This is the energy that demands attention. It could be out of alignment. It could be an aspect of the querent that needs to be expressed in order to meet the moment. It could be a narrow window of opportunity that's briefly opening up, but it's out of all the aspects of life, it's the one that demands attention in this moment. So for this reading, the focal point is the Three of Pentacles. So Pentacles is the suit of Earth symbolically, which represents money, wealth, resources, everything that's tangible, because the other suits are all about love and ideas and inspiration, but Pentacles is all about tangible stuff, the so-called real world, the material world. So not just money, wealth, and resources, but also our own physical body and access to resources, everything about navigating the material world and how to thrive in the material world. So Three of Pentacles is the point along the journey of life where you realize you can't do it alone. Three of Pentacles represents the essence of collaboration. You can see that there's three characters in this scene. There's the master builder, Mason. There's the local lord who's putting up the money for the building of this cathedral. And then there's the priest who is holding the vision for the creation of the church. I like to call this card the cathedral builders. And it illustrates a very potent mode of collaboration that replicates itself across all different forms of creativity and every kind of project, every way of getting things done. There's someone to hold the vision, someone to provide the resources for the work, and someone to do the work. And we often trade places in these roles and have certain times in each role, but a truly powerful collaboration is one where the people in these roles know their lane and they stay in their lane and they mutually support each other. It's this dynamic of energy crossing between three people. In filmmaking, it would be the writer, director, and producer, or you could say the cast, crew, and people who put up the money. There's a lot of different ways to slice it, but Three of Pentacles is generally about this energy of who's putting up the resources, who's holding the vision, and who's enacting the vision. So to draw Three of Pentacles as the focal point, this querent is someone who has been really going it alone and would do well to uh, join in collaboration with others, or someone who's already in collaboration but has lost track of what role they're playing, or their role has gotten stagnant. So the energy that demands attention in this person's life is the energy of collaboration and cooperation itself. So usually there's unaddressed needs or things left unsaid or hidden resentments. There's something about the people that you rely on, the people you work with, something's off, something's out of balance. And the energy levels between these three aspects of making this person's dreams come true is a little out of whack. So the energy of collaboration, the energy of coordination, what's it going to take to resolve it? What there's some kind of conflict with the people who are coming together to make something bigger than themselves, something greater than the sum of its parts, something that can only be accomplished as a team. So what does this person need to receive in order to maximize the potential of the most important collaboration scenario in their lives? So this is the gift to receive for this person, and that's the Tower. So the Tower, as a major arcana, ultimately represents the need to loosen one's grip on the details of the material circumstances. Tower is often showing how when we become attached to things being a certain way, it's like building a sandcastle. We build a sandcastle out of our lives or out of the scenario that we're in. And we tell ourselves, as long as I can keep this sandcastle exactly the way it is, then I'll be happy and I won't have to worry and everything will work out. And it's almost as if the world notices when we've become attached to things being a specific way. We got everything in a line and we just want to keep it exactly the same forever, ideally. And as soon as the world hears that, it wants to knock it all away and show us how much we're giving up our personal power by investing so tightly in circumstances that we never want to change. Tower is all about embracing impermanence and understanding that you're not going to be able to keep it the same way forever. And this can be violent and traumatic sometimes when things are taken away from us that we felt like we could have for the rest of our lives. And it really can shift the axis of our life and make us lose trust in what the world is trying to offer us. It's like, how could I trust circumstances if this thing I loved was taken away from me for no good reason? But the Tower shows that you endure even as all of your circumstances can come in and come out and ebb and flow without any seeming rhyme or reason. The rhyme and reason is you existing despite all of the so-called disasters. Usually Tower ultimately points to moments where in our past we felt like everything was falling apart, something was being taken away from us, or we were losing something, or something was being destroyed. And it was the worst thing that was happening to us, whether it was losing a job, losing a relationship, losing some kind of parameters of our life that we were hoping would stay the same. But then we look back on these moments where it was all taken away from us with so much benefit of hindsight to say, oh, thank God I lost that job, or thank God I lost that relationship, because if that hadn't happened, then XYZ wouldn't have happened and I wouldn't have ended up in this much better position where I am today. So Tower shows up when we need the grace of recognizing that effect always happening. It usually comes through long distance memory, but Tower shows up in readings to invite us to cultivate that energy now. So this is someone who their collaboration is stagnant or at a stalemate because they were too attached to a particular vision at the start of the collaboration. And now it feels like the project's getting away from them. And they've lost track of that original inspirational vision. So it feels like, what's the point? If we're going to go in this new direction because of all of this new input and these changing circumstances, well, then that's it. They just want to flip over the table and take their ball and go home. But to receive the tower is to really embrace the impermanence, embrace the change. You're not going to get to hold on to your rough draft going into this collaboration. It's very much about, writers say, killing your darlings. You're so attached to one special element of the creative project that feels so inspirational, but when you build the whole project around it, you realize maybe it was just a spark of inspiration to provide the potential energy for the rest of the project. And now that you're seeing more of the whole picture, it doesn't quite fit anymore. And it hurts to let it go. But once you do, afterwards, you're like, oh my God, that actually wasn't necessary at all. And I'm glad I didn't keep it in. If you've seen the episode of The Studio where Ron Howard is attached to this overwrought scene about his cousin that's tacked on to the end of his otherwise brilliant film, so far this reading is that episode of The Studio where you have to let go of something that seems so important, because you have to listen to your collaborators, and that spirit of collaboration has to win in the end of compromise and meeting in the middle and finding the way together rather than individually. So receiving this lack of attachment to permanence, embracing the seemingly catastrophic changes that come with collaboration, and then what is being invited to give or create, what needs to come out of this person. And that is the Five of Cups. So Five of Cups, cups being about emotions and relationships, everything about connecting with other people. And Five of Cups represents a feeling of disappointment and disillusionment, a feeling of friction and conflict, but leaves evidence for the renewal of love, the renewal of connection. It's fives are usually about carrying the energy of the card to a kind of breaking point, and then it has to kind of be broken in order to really understand how the energy works. So you can see that this character is despondent maybe over these overturned cups, but these upright cups are outside of their field of view. They're focused on what didn't work out and maybe losing sight of what did work out. So I think there's something really interesting happening in the arrangement of these cards, where there's a character who is looking at the three overturned cups, looking towards the Three of Pentacles. So it's almost as if this person, who's the same person, whatever role they play in the center, they were so enlivened and inspired by the image they had in their head about what the collaboration was going to be like. You know, archetypally, it's like two of the best friends you met in school, and you decide to start a big project together or start a business together, and you're so young and full of optimism, and it feels like anything is possible, and it feels like you're going to take over the world. And then the three of you come together, and what you end up building feels like a disappointment compared to that original vision. Or you start the business and then it's years down the line and you're sick of each other and things aren't working out the way you thought. And it's almost like you shed those identities. You've lost a sense of like, what happened to us? We were like the Three Musketeers. And what's happening here in the Five of Cups is that this image, the image in the head of what the three of you represented, what these collaborators represented, has been lost. But the gift that you're getting is the truth of these two other people, that in all of their messy glory, warts and all, so to say, is that we inevitably build up people in our heads to fulfill certain roles or certain ideals. And then when we meet with the messy reality of that person, there's an inevitable disappointment. But there's so much richness in meeting people in their messy humanity rather than putting them on a pedestal as some kind of ideal. or feeling like you're trying to make people into movie characters to share in your grand narrative with. It's like, no, we have to be humble in the day-to-day realities of what it means to be human, what it means to be flawed, and what it means to bump up against each other. So this is a character who has lost their perfect image of what these three people meant, but they've gained a realistic image of what these other two people meant. They've lost an image of themselves along with the other two people, but they've gained a true impression of who they really are. And to give the Five of Cups is to let go of we got to create a new perception, a new story about who you are and who these people you're closely collaborating with are, that's based in reality. And it's almost like, what happened to us? What was we lost the spark, we lost the magic. We were so young and fresh and full of ideas. And then something happened along the way. I feel like I don't know you. I feel like I don't know myself. I've become a sad parody of my own previous ambitions. But Five of Cups is inviting you to create a true portrait of who these people are in reality, with all of their flaws and uncertainties, and then give that grace to yourself as well in staying true to yourself and all your flaws and fragility and uncertainty. So taking away, there's a lot of shattering of illusions in this reading. There's letting go of an image of perfection, letting go of images of perfection, not just for the scenario and the project, but the people involved in the project and the goals, and letting the collaboration transform both you and transform itself. It's about connecting with people as they really are, not trying to force people to fit a box that you showed up with before meeting them. So giving the Five of Cups is embracing the messy reality of relating, embracing the messy reality of collaboration, letting things change, letting things evolve, because you don't quite know what magical thing it might transform into. Tower often shows up as a card when we're dreaming too small and the world wants to clear out our small dreams to make room for something bigger that we almost thought was too good to be true or couldn't dare was possible. So there's a larger theme here where it's not necessarily about just the collaboration. It's not necessarily about just the project. There's something bigger at work, which is hinted at by receiving the Tower, this embracing of impermanence, embracing of uncertainty, but it's also about Priestess. So Priestess representing the intuition, representing the mysteries of dreams and the unknown and the unconscious. So I would say that in this scenario, there's been a lot of literalism and a lot of pragmatic realism and trying to think linearly with problem, work, solution. And then Priestess is trying to show that there's a deeper current underlying all of this. Like, it seems like it's about the business, or it seems like it's about the budget or the schedule or the deliverables, but Priestess is showing how we engage in these projects, we start these businesses, we build these mini empires, we build these sandcastles because we're trying to address a deeper unconscious need. We may think that it's about the surface stuff, but the more you dig into almost psychoanalyzing your productivity, psychoanalyzing your projects, noticing the patterns, reading between the lines, noticing what the project and the ambition and the collaboration is not a coping mechanism, but there's a deeper need that's trying to be addressed, an almost spiritual need, something that relates to childhood, something that relates to spirituality, existentialism, what is life even for? It's really about getting all of the layers of the why. Why did we start this collaboration? Why is this project important? Why are we trying so hard? Why did we get into any of this in the first place? What is actually motivating? And the more you interrogate those whys, your plumbing the depths of your own truth. And the final answers to the final whys might surprise you. So this is why there's a lot of like corny exercises of like, what animal archetype are you, that a lot of corporate boardrooms will do. It's a maybe not always graceful effort to try and dig under people's surface motivations and these surface stories that we tell about why we're doing what we're doing. Priestess is an invitation to look at the sort of not primal, but it really beyond words, the wounded creatures underneath the human drama. Priestess invites you to look at the mundane concerns of the collaboration and see the soul trouble that's lying underneath, trying to answer a soul challenge or a soul question with a practical answer. And it's reformatting that relationship so you can find a wholeness between the unconscious motivations and the conscious motivations. And the more we do that, the more the whole thing unlocks. We're able to embrace the power of collaboration in our lives because we know nothing's permanent, and we know that ultimately the collaboration only matters because we decide it matters. So there's something internal that's being addressed, and seeing people and yourself for who they really are, not the idealized form that you became attached to. So a lot of letting go of impermanence, a lot of letting go of surface appearances, and embracing who you really are and what you really need underneath all of that. So thanks for watching.